Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Real Sim Racing Australia DSL Welding Services Super2 E-Series. Tonight I'm joined by Dean Reddit in the commentary booth, and we're here at the Long Beach circuit for the DSL Welding Services Long Beach 160. Dean, good evening. How are you, mate?
Evening, JP. Good evening, everyone tuning in at home. It's nice to be back in the seat, mate, after a week off.
Yeah, looking forward to tonight's race. Last night's race for the RSRA Goodyear Auto Kewarana series was absolutely phenomenal. Great racing all night long. Really looking forward to what these guys have got in store for us tonight.
Yeah, look, it's certainly a unique track, the Long Beach circuit, very picturesque. So, the guys are throwing up some really good racing standards here in the Super 2 E-Series. So, looking forward to seeing how they go about it tonight. It's a very tricky track, so I'm expecting them to still keep those standards up high, though, JP, and produce another good spectacle for everyone.
Yeah, we should be seeing some great racing tonight and some really good, some good overtaking opportunities tonight. You unfortunately you didn't have the best race last night. You were outed fairly early in the whole evening.
Yeah, thanks for bringing that one up, mate. It's not been an easy start to the season for me, and yeah, things didn't get any better last night. So, look, part of the reason why I love coming in and talking sim racing and getting to commentate is to put all that stuff behind me, and it sort of just acts as a bit of a fresh start for the new week. So I'm looking forward to putting that behind me, mate.
Yeah, absolutely. And qualifying is pretty much almost over. Let's just go to the tail end of the qualifying. A couple of minutes to go, and we've got Troy Allen and Kai Turner now. So both the drivers from the Middle Finger Racing stable who are occupying the front row of the grid at this stage. So great racing by these guys. I guess while we're looking at this, we should probably maybe go to the hot lap and give the audience a bit of a rundown as to what it takes to do one lap around this circuit. So, really need to get a really good run out of that last corner. Get on the throttle nice and early. Go through the gears. You're trying not to buzz the engine. Get as close as you can to the right-hand wall there. Reduce the distance. Now we're hard on the brakes. Down into second gear, turn in early, take a bit of track here, straighten the wheel, hard on the accelerator, shift back down, first gear through the fountain here, short shift to second, back on the throttle, a little bit of brake to help the car turn, all in second gear here, on the throttle, cut this corner, take as much corner as you can, on the power, nice and early, back towards the other side of the road, third gear, fourth gear, back down into second gear, nice and tight, about middle of the track here, onto the other side of the road. Now we turn in early again, second gear, take as much track, get early on the throttle, and now we're down this big long back straight here, going through the gears again, fifth gear, sixth gear, on the brakes, turn in early, take plenty of track here, take plenty of curb, try not to get the car sideways like I just did. On the brakes, first gear through the hairpin here, modulate the throttle, don't get that back wheel spinning through the gears, and that is one lap of I've lost the name, mate. Help me out.
Long Beach circuit, mate.
Long Beach. There you go. Tongue-tied already. Now that was one track. The guys tonight have got 51 laps, 161 kilometres to do.
Mate, it's another lengthy race, and for you, it's another long call, mate. You had a long one last night, so of course endurance round. So, it's extended out, and one thing people might have picked up in that hot lap is just how bumpy the circuit is. A few corners are really off camber, so carburetor wants to roll with the camber to the outside, and those little bumps, if you're not careful and you're a little bit aggressive on the throttle, that's all it takes to put you into the fence, and you hit one of those bumps rolling, it's all over. So look, it's one of those tracks where consequences are high. And look, mate, as we seen last night, there's a high probability of a safety car as well, JP.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, this place is a real concrete canyon. You hit one wall, you run the risk of pinballing into the next wall. And like you said, you do have to be really careful on some of these corner exits. If you start to spin the back wheels, you'll find yourself over-rotating the car and either facing the other way or just rotating into the opposite wall.
Yeah, absolutely. That off-camber nature of the track really unloads the tires on one side of the car. So that's why you have to be so careful over the bumps that you're not really trying to accelerate, because that could be, the bump could unload all four tires and then it just snaps and you can't catch it. So look, drivers are going to have to be mindful of that. Again, it's a long race, so patience will be key. And mate, I'm looking forward. I think that these guys are going to really show the patience required to get a good 51 lap racing tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. And let's have a look and see what's in store for them tonight. So we're at the RSRA DSL Welding Service Super 2 E-Series. So we're at Long Beach, California tonight at the street circuit. It's a 3.17 kilometer circuit. The guys have got 51 laps to do tonight, so just over 160 kilometers, 161.7 kilometers to be exact. Their pit speed limit is going to be 64 kilometers. They're fuel restricted down to 57.72 litres. So they will have 2 pit stops. And they'll have 2 sets of tyres to choose from. So they'll have 1 set of tyres to start the race with, and then another set of tyres that they can choose to take on either of their pit stops. So they'll be using about 2.8 litres of fuel per lap. The date this evening is the 20th of October. So they'll be racing on the 20th of October. And race start for these guys is going to be 1:30 in the afternoon. So air temperature at the moment is 22 degrees. Track temperature is a balmy 28 degrees, and it's only going to start getting a bit warmer, 8 kilometers an hour with a wind speed in a northeasterly direction. So we can see the track's cleared now. The safety car's out on track, so doing a bit of a check. So I think while we've got a bit of time out by our sleeve, what we might do is we might have a look and see what the qualifying positions are for the start of the race.
Absolutely. Well, backing up from last week's win, Brian Cooper's managed to claim pole position here by the looks of it, by a narrow margin over Troy Allen. So that was a little bit of change to order. Last time we checked, both MFR cars were on the front row. So moving on, John Gillies will be out of third position, Kai Turner for Adam Moore, Alan Dawson, Rod Hollis, Stephen Lawrence, Matt Whitaker and Stephen Banks round out the top 10 for our grid tonight. Stead Miller out of 11, Robert Braw out of 12, Scotty Stevens, Stephen Martin, Jason Scholar make the top 15. Peter Kelly, Will Yesberg, Tony Gaffron, Braden O'Loughlin, and our good mate from Race Control, John O'Bain, will be coming out of 20th. Dan Schultz and Stuart Crawford will start out of row 11. David Leslie, Daniel Leet out of 12. Thomas Foster and Andrew Johnston out of row 13. Corey Brand and Craig Schultz. Well, Craig Schultz is our safety car driver, so Corey Brand in 27th spot rounds out the field tonight. So a slightly smaller field than normal, but there is, I think, a smaller championship, isn't it, in terms of competitors in the Super 2 JP?
Yeah, a few less competitors in the Super 2 series, and it's great to see Brian Cooper at the pointy end of the field. I really think that last week's win has buoyed him a little bit and really given his confidence a boost.
Yeah, well, I think if memory serves me correctly, he suffered a bit of a DNF or something in round 1. And, Brian's someone I've done quite a fair bit of racing against. So I remember back 3 or 4 seasons ago when I first came into the competition, we had a good race at Daytona. And, he's a really respectful guy. And also someone that's really another stalwart of the competition. I believe he's only just behind Andrew Johnson for the most starts in the RSRA league history. So he's a guy that's been around quite a bit. And he always races just with a great amount of respect, and you can go side by side with him. So, got a lot of time for Brian, and it is really good to see him doing well. That's a safety car in the wall. I picked on that. Did you see that, JP?
Mate, I did. It's our good friend, the Prince of Glam, Simon Chadwick from last night. He's running one of the safety cars with Craig Schultz in the second safety car. So Craig will probably run the main safety car for this evening, but Simon's decided to get on track and probably give this thing a bit of a rig its neck and see how it goes around here.
He looks like he's enjoying himself in this car. So, are we getting a little bit of a precursor as what might be to come, JP, in the series, maybe?
Mate, I think he's going to have a grin from ear to ear. These new Cup cars are an absolute barrel of laughs to drive. They're awesome fun, and don't be surprised if we put something on in the new year with these cars.
Hey, they're on my radar. I can tell you that much. I unfortunately haven't had the time to get the new one. I've got the old one, and I just, it was something I always wanted to get into, but I haven't quite done it. But if this car lands in the RSRA next season, then I'll be all over that, as I'm sure. I'm sure even you might like to get involved, mate.
Yeah, absolutely. That car's on my radar as well. So if I put something together for next season, expect to see me out of the commentary booth, out of the director's chair, and maybe in a seat racing.
Well, we look forward to that, and we found our person that will host the broadcast, didn't we, a couple of weeks back? And Sean McNamara, he did a great job for us. So he didn't realise at the time, but he might have just nominated himself.
Yeah, a volunteer, I think.
Yeah.
All right, they've just about finished the warm-up stage. They would have had their drivers briefing. Drivers are going to start making their way to the line soon, and we're going to be off and racing any minute now.
Look, looking forward to the build-up to this one, mate. Lap one, obviously, as it always is so crucial that the drivers get through without causing a blockage. We've seen a bit of chaos last night, but they've got to be respectful here, and I'm sure they're thinking about that while they're sat on the grid, JP.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is the thing. This is the all-important thing with this race is going into turn one. They're going to have a lot of cars going into turn one. They're going to be checking up. They really need to be looking out for each other. They need to be aware where everybody is. They need to get through that first lap unscathed and then settle into a bit of a rhythm.
Yeah, that's the key. Staying patient in the train there for just getting through these early laps before you can get a bit of distance between the cars. So, look, Brian Cooper's done well. He's on pole position, and he's going to try and produce the start that he needs to get down into turn one, and hopefully put everyone else behind him as the light tower comes up, mate.
Yep, here we go. Lights are on. They're about to go racing. Nerves are high. Look at that brilliant start by Brian Cooper. John Gillies had a great start. Troy Allen got a little bit just bogged down just a little bit there, and he's come under attack by John Gillies straight away.
Yeah, nice solid move there from John. Troy's going to have an attempt to hold it around the outside, and yep, John's just going to be allowing him back through. So good little exchange there to open the race, and that's allowed Brian just to scoot away a little bit in front. So
yeah, absolutely.
Good clean up from the drivers.
Yeah, really intelligent move there by John. He saw Troy coming up the inside, and he just let him go there and thought, I'll slot him behind him and get back to racing.
Yeah, playing the longer game there, and they, it's important that they settled in so they could. And you see, Troy's right on the lead of the race already. It only took a few corners, but he's put a real aggressive move on, just cost himself a bit of time. And now John's going to come back down the inside.
Yeah, he went wide going into that turn there, and which allowed John to catch up to him. So he's just got to be really careful. I mean, this is a long race before they've got their first stop. He doesn't want to be sliding the car too much. If he starts doing that, he's going to overheat the tyres, and it doesn't matter how aggressive he is then, he's just going to be in a world of hurt.
Yeah, we know Troy's a driver that's got some single lap pace. He's definitely got that under his arsenal. And he's in that perfect position now where he can try and convert that into a good race finish. which
Yeah,
is something that he's had a little trouble doing in the past. So it's good that Troy can just give himself a bit of time to settle down, cool those tyres down if you did light them up, and get back to just putting into some good consistent lap times.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's what Troy's going to do. Standing lap there, Brian Cooper did a 1:28.22. Troy Allen did a 1:29.3. John Gillies a 1:30.15. So there's not a lot in there. Brian had a great start, but as we see, Troy's just coming back at him now, little by little.
Yeah, he was caught me off guard. Oh, this is a move from Dan Schultz down the inside. Peter Kelly holding him around the outside. He's done well to defend that and hold that position there. So look, a good little exchange. And yep, as Dan sort of sized him up for another move, Peter's done well there. They've got through with no contact. So it is a difficult spot to try and make an overtake around this track. So it takes a little bit of cooperation from both drivers, JP.
Yeah, 100%. And that move was maybe just a little bit too ambitious by Dan there. Going how he did, that was going to always sort of shorten him up for the next turn. So no, but you've got to try, and when you're in that position, if you've got the door open, you're going to have a go.
Yeah, that's right. You commit early. But the guys have produced really just as we're talking pre-race, they've produced a really clean start, which has been really good in this series so far. The guys have managed to keep the race clean, avoid any safety cars early in the race. It's so easy to block the track here, so really impressive from these guys. And we've already seen, we've got Kai Turner making a move now, a little crossover move just in front of what we're actually reviewing now, and he's made it stick on John Gillies. That's a really good move from Kai. Oh, he's just brushed the wall on the outside. Is that going to allow John back through? No, he's held up. So we might have spoke a little bit too soon, but Kai still manages to get the move done. So is he going to start making his way towards the front?
Yeah, now maybe if Troy and Kai sort of hook up, they might be able to start working together and giving each other, give each other a bit of a tow down those longer straights.
Well, that's it. They can settle in and play the long game now, knowing that especially for Troy, knows that maybe Kai's not going to put any pressure on him or do any risky moves from behind, so he can start focusing on the car in front instead of looking in the rear view mirrors, which is a really important factor around here, because one thing you lose here is your peripheral vision, because the concrete barriers are so close. So it's very hard with all the colours and everything going on in the rear vision mirror to be able to pick up where the car is behind you. But if you have a teammate behind you, don't have to worry about that. You can just focus on the car in front and get down to business. So those boys they would have wanted to get together there as early as possible on track, and now they can start working together and really start applying the pressure to Brian at the front.
And you can see that already. Troy Allen is about half a second behind Brian Cooper, and he's really starting to push and apply the pressure.
Yeah, he's closed that gap down a few times, so it's just now, I think with Troy, it's just about not making any more of those little mistakes and dropping back. Brian's, he's all about being smooth and consistent, and he will have a very good strategy here, I think, going forward, and he's not going to let the fact that Troy's closed that gap down bother him too much. So, because he knows that being the lead car here is so important, so it's very difficult to overtake if you've got a car that knows exactly where to put itself. A bit of action here, mate, coming out of the last turn.
Yeah, on board with Robert Brewer here, just defending against Scott Stevens. Looks like Scott Stevens got a little bit of a gap on him, but he is on the outside, so Robert's got the advantage here. And really well done by both of these guys. You saw the cooperation between Scott and Robert there, and yeah, awesome work.
Yeah, and that's not easy to do. That's off camber in the first turn, and the tyres come out from the concrete barrier, so it actually tightens on exit. So it's really difficult to get two cars through there in the best of times. So the guys have done well to avoid any contact.
Going back with Troy Allen, you can see the different driving styles between these two guys. Troy's probably maybe a little bit more aggressive, whereas Brian likes to be a little bit smoother, and that might actually work in his favour if you can keep Troy behind him, because their tyres are going to start hurting. Although Brian's just had a really bad exit there that's brought Troy right up behind him.
Yeah, it's a unique thing out of the last turn where you can run wide, but then it forces the car behind you to go shallow. So you almost effectively ruin each other's exit out of that last corner. And it's not hard to do it all there, to just misjudge that last turn. And like I was speaking before, your peripheral vision basically really makes it hard to see the apex or the curb on that corner, and you're obviously mindful that you don't want to brush too hard against the wall. They both get through. Troy's obviously got a lot of pace in his car, but now he's found this problem where he's reached the back of Brian's car. It's like now it becomes about, okay, where am I going to get this move done? Where is he weak? And Brian, to his credit, is just focused on being as smooth and consistent as possible. So he's not making many mistakes here, and that's where I think is Troy. You need to sit back and go, I know I have the pace. It's going to be very difficult for me to force a move, so I just need to apply the pressure and wait for him to make the mistake.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, you can see the two different driving styles. And then you've got Kai Turner there, who's able to sort of adapt both of those styles. So he can be smooth, although, you know, when he gets the bit between his teeth, we've seen a bit of wild stuff from Kai in the past.
Well, he's not scared to have a go, and it's an interesting complex here because it's probably taking him going against his nature of wanting to get the move done to sort of hold back on his teammate. Obviously, they don't want to cause any issues for themselves. So it's going against his natural reaction to overtake, and I don't know whether they might be on the radio to each other. He might be calling for a, hey, give me a crack at him, and if I don't get through, I'll hand the position back. Do you think that might be going on in the radios behind the scenes, JB?
Look, there might be a little bit of that. I think it's still early days. Kai's now dropped. He's dropped around about 0.3 of a second behind, and here we go. Drive-through penalty, 97 unsafe rejoin on 119. So,
Braden O'Loughlin, he's in the pit lane already to serve that one.
Let's have a look if we can see on the replay what that's all about.
He's just spun himself there. We've seen an incident here last night as well where the track got blocked. So how drivers, there's another driver in the background. So he's popped in reverse. He's caused a few drivers to try and take avoiding action.
Oh, there you go.
That's a no-no, jamming it in reverse with cars coming down on you, JP. So, yep, that's a pretty straightforward penalty, that one, I think, mate.
Yeah, 100%. And look, in a way, you can understand the driver's frustration. They want to get going again, but they've got cars bearing down on them. And unfortunately, the only thing that they can do, the only thing they have to do, is just sit there and wait until the traffic goes by before they can move again.
Yeah, and you can understand from the point of view, you're worried about blocking the track. It's panicky. You want to clear the track as quickly as you can. The driver just moving aside now. On a KFC entries, letting the leaders past, I think. So maybe a car that got caught up in some earlier incidents.
Let's have a look at this. This is a move by John Gillies on Troy Allen.
Troy's still at the front of this three-car train, so... Oh, he's just brushed the wall. Oh no, he's run wide on that corner. That could be potentially some speed, if not steering damage on that car. That looks quite bad on the front end there, JP.
Yeah, absolutely. He tried to stay with John there, but John just held him wide going through the hairpin, so managed to make that move fairly easy.
Yeah, got on the outside around the left, which gave him the inside line for the right-hand turn. But geez, yeah, that was that was a hard hit for Troy. So he hasn't dropped off down the straight though. So let's hope that there's no real damage on that car that's going to cause him to have to pit early.
No, he's looking pretty good at the moment. I mean, going back to them, he's staying with John. He's not letting him get away from him.
Yeah, it all looks like it's just a bit of cosmetics there. So that's very fortunate first and foremost, because that's not typical for these cars. Any side contact, you usually get a bit of steering damage, and certainly some aero damage. But as long as he can stay in the toe there, he may not feel the full effects of that aero damage straight away.
No, and this is where we'll see Troy really make gains onto the back of John's car here in the braking zone here. John gets a clean exit, and Troy follows him as well.
Yeah, that was pretty well done by both cars, wasn't it? And yep, he doesn't look to be suffering here. And if he is, the draft is compensating for loss in straight line, so it's not significant enough to be of any great concern to make him pit early. He's held that gap all the way down the straight. I'm going to drive through for car 551. Car contact, 006. Scotty Stevens received the drive through. He's in the pit lane already to serve that one. So Matt Whitaker here on screen trying to apply some pressure to the KFC entry.
Oh no. Car off, Jeff Eddy.
Well, we know where Jeff Eddy's from, don't we? Judging by that livery. He's our resident United States entry. he's letting everyone know about that.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Oh, big hit there from our New York entry, but hopefully he'll be able to get going again.
Yeah, it's a very, very good example of what we were talking about before, about the off-camber corners and where you've got those bumps. Jeff's just got on the accelerator a little bit earlier and hit that bump, and bumps unloaded the tyres, and it's just shot into wheel spin straight away. So that's how finicky and how... Oh, we've got Matt Whitaker having a look down the inside.
Oh, no!
Oh, no. He's redressed it, though. He's redressed it, which was a smart move.
Will race control, you know, let that one go. But he's redressed, but have a look at this. He's actually overtaken him before the control line. Now, race control will not deem that to be a proper redress.
So we've got two KFC cars. Which one was it? Was it the one that's leading or the one that's been out behind him?
Let's have another look at this. Let's have a look at this on the replay.
Yeah, so this does look like it's I think it is Jason Schooler in the lime green version of the KFC livery. Yeah, jeez. He nearly got it done, but just at the last minute, because he went so shallow into the corner, he needed the extra room on exit, and unfortunately Jason just can't go anywhere at that point, and he's made the contact and given him a bit of half spin. The redress was done before the start-finish line though, JP, and that could be critical for Matt Whitaker's race.
Yes and no. The rules state that there must be no advantage gained by the time that they get to the next corner.
Oh, we've got Jeff Eddy in the wall in the last turn again. Is he able to get that out of the wall there, JP? He's just going to sit and wait for a gap, but I'm not sure if that's going to provoke the safety car or not.
They won't actually call the safety car unless Jeff calls race control and asks for a tow. No, he's been able to get that started. Look, he's done the right thing there. He was in the wall, but the cars could get around him. He just sat there and waited. Now, these guys, unlike the Super Series drivers, they do have one fast repair. I'm sure Jeff is going to be saving that up his sleeve for his first pit stop, and then he'll use that fast repair and get going again.
Yeah, as long as he doesn't have any steering damage, you know, he can persevere with this first round of pit stops, which we can't be far away, JP, looking for these early stoppers. Guys, you know, you want to keep an eye on guys that are in traffic, potentially looking to go early here to try and give themselves some free space. But, you know, to this point, Brian's done an excellent job out in front, and now Kai's there with him. So, look, this first stop has been a bit of a trend this season, JP, where we're seeing guys short fuel the car, because especially around tracks like this, track position is key. It's almost everything. So if you find yourself running, say, around 10th and in traffic, pitting and taking the short fuel could net you 5th position on track when that pit stop's done. And the free air that you get in that time between your first and second pit stop is enough to essentially move yourself on net gain in front of the cars that you were initially behind in the first stint. So it's been a really interesting development, that's something we haven't seen in previous seasons.
Yeah, absolutely, and especially when you're the lead driver in the train, like Brian Cooper is at the moment. You know, he's got to set the tone of the race. He wants, you know, he really wants to pull the trigger first and get in for that pit stop before Kai does, because Kai can do the undercut on Brian if he gets in on an early stop there.
Yeah, absolutely. And the other counter to that is this is where it's really helpful to have someone that's crew chiefing for you, because what you want to do if you are considering deploying the early stop is you just want to make sure that you're not going to emerge in traffic, because that'll undo any advantage that you stand to gain from the undercut. So it's a tiptoey moment in the race where Kai will be definitely thinking to himself, do I go now, and get himself the undercut. And get in front of Brian. However, yeah, you need to weigh that risk factor up where those competitors are on track. You know, it's a difficult decision, but I don't think we're going to have to wait too much longer to find out what exactly is going to unfold here, because we're already seeing some lap traffic cars now. I think that might be Stefan Lawrence, if memory serves me correctly, in that red Excalibur Esports entry that, you know, is going to play a factor here at some point. It's super difficult, even on, you need some cooperation from the blue flag drivers to get out of your way as well. So Brian's already going defensive here into these last sequence of corners. Oh, we go side by side. Kai's now positioned the inside for the next left-hander, and he's going to get the move for the lead. And that's really well done. That is not easy to do. That's a fantastic move by Kai. Can he cement it now? They're going to go side by side again down the main straight. But Kai gets it done. What a great move. That was so clean. Fantastic move. And he gets it done on track. We thought the move might have come in pit lane, JP, but an on-track manoeuvre like that, that's a fantastic move.
Yeah, that was a brilliant move. Let's actually have another look at that. And Kai had set Brian up way before for that move. You can see Brian goes defensive there. Maybe just uses a bit too much track there to go defensive. He didn't need to move across that much. That sacrificed his corner, mid-corner speed, allowed Kai to just sail around him, and he did that nice and cleanly too.
Yeah, but perhaps the turn beforehand there, he might have already baited him to go defensive there, which is why we might have seen such a big speed difference down that little straightaway before Kai was able to make the move around the outside. So, and we got Troy Allen now under pressure from John Gillies. So Troy's nursing a little bit more damage to either side of the front end of that MF5 Commodore. John, we've seen John, he's just so patient. He's so professional. He's weighing this situation up now and thinking to himself, you know, I think it's Hollis.
Yeah, it's Rod Hollis there, starting to menace the back of Troy Allen.
Oh yeah, we got John Gillies is already in third position, so yeah, absolutely. The Frog Leap guys, they're on their way up the field and threatening another podium position. So yeah, my apologies to Rod. So they're both in the Mustang though, so a little confusing, but he's going to start turning the wick up on Troy, and this is where, if Troy had a few moments early in the race where he spun those tyres up, he might be starting to suffer, JP.
Yeah, absolutely. We might have a look when they go down that back straight, just to see if we can get a read on how Troy's steering is as well.
Yeah, that would be good to know, because that's a lot of superficial damage to not have any sort of negative or what's called left or right hand down in your car, where to drive in a straight line your steering's going to be skewed. It looks like a little left. Is it a little left hand down, do you think, maybe, or is that all right, JP?
It actually doesn't look too bad. You know, the great thing with Troy is probably also the bad thing with Troy is he can be a little bit too aggressive, and he gets that car sliding sometimes. And once it does slide, that's when he starts to overheat the tyres and starts to fall behind a bit.
Yeah, just converting that pace that he has over one lap into the race distance is where, really is all that's really preventing Troy from having a really essentially a championship tilt. Really, he's got that single lap pace that gets him good qualifying results week in, week out. So it's just a matter of converting those and managing your race, and he's certainly a driver that can threaten for regular podium positions.
Yeah,
This battle's reigniting between Whittaker and Scholar again. As we go into the roundabout section, what a tricky section of track this is. Really tight on exit, but little move there into turn one didn't quite pan out for Whittaker, and he's going to have to be content to sit in there for another lap behind Jason Scholar.
Yeah, and he's applying the blowtorch there to Jason, just getting a little bit behind him, getting right up there, saying, "Look, I'm here," and seeing what Jason's going to do about it.
Yeah, he looks like he wants to get on with it before they drop the cars that are in front of them too much. So perhaps one of these situations where he could benefit from an undercut move here as well, because he looks like he's just probably got a little bit more one lap speed than Jason here at the moment, JP.
Yeah, he's looking really menacing. He's looking like he does have that little bit more pace. He's trying to go on the inside there, trying to get an earlier run. Nice run. He stayed with him, and now he's got the benefit of the toe.
Is he going to swing? He's going to swing late there to the inside. He's not up far enough though, so that's probably fair enough. Don't want to make contact coming from that far back, because that is a straight out drive-through penalty. So he's weighed that situation up nice. But yeah, he's definitely someone that looks like he could certainly push further up the field. He's just got to figure out a way how to get around him here.
Yeah, and that's the thing on this track. You just have to be patient. Wait for the driver in front of you to make a mistake, or maybe even force him to make a mistake, and then capitalise when he does.
Absolutely, mate. Or get it done in the pit lane is the other one. Safer option sometimes. If you can have that, if you're fortunate enough to make that read correctly. So, but yeah, just look at that. It's so tight. The gap's not changed for the whole lap. So he's weaving around. He's just trying to fill his mirrors up, keep him guessing. Just hope he can bait him into making a mistake. And look, to Jason's credit, I think he hasn't taken the bait, and he's kept his car in the perfect position to be able to defend ninth position. See Troy Allen's now just gone into the pit lane, JP. Is that going to be the first of the conventional stops?
Probably a little bit early. I mean, they should be looking to try to get 20 laps, maybe 21 laps out of a tank. Maybe Troy's in a position now where his car was just giving him a little bit too much grief. Needed to get that fast repair going and get back out on track.
You're in that window as well, I suppose, where if you're willing to take a punt on there being a later race, a late race safety car, that might be enough to get him home. So maybe the damage has just been too excessive, and he's thought, I'm going to pit in, I'm going to get it fixed, and then
no,
going straight on. Oh, he's kept it in though. He's kept it off the wall. That looked for all money that he was in the wall then, JP.
Yeah, I just saw that out of the corner of my eye. Matt Whittaker was right up beside Jason Scholar, but by the time we got to him, he just outbraked himself and almost went into the wall. Adam Moore now is in the pit, so I think we're going to start seeing a flurry of stops soon.
Yeah, it looks like it's about that time. And yeah, the guys have done so well to keep the safety car at bay so far in this race. It's a track where if you're ever going to punt on the safety car, this is the track you're going to do it. And if you think that there's a high probability and you're willing to take that one lap risk where you might pit one lap early and theoretically not be able to get home on fuel, but you're banking on a safety car to make up those numbers, then this is certainly a ploy that a lot of these guys can try here tonight. We got a few. We now got Peter Kelly and Dan Schultz in the pit lane as well. So Kai Turner's been able to open up a 2-second gap at the front of the race, but yeah, it's an interesting ploy. This is where the race really starts to now get interesting on strategy.
Yeah, 100%. And you were right too. I mean, if you are willing to take that risk, you can take an earlier stop, maybe take less fuel, and hope for a safety car. Which look, there's always a high probability of that. And here we go. Brian Cooper pulls the trigger. Kai Turner goes for one more lap.
Yep, John Gillies follows him also. So yeah, we got the first round of stops here. Look, I don't predict that guys will be taking tyres in this stop. What are we, lap 21 and 51, you got 30 to go. So you're probably gonna, those leaders are probably gonna elect to run now a short stint between their first and second stop, take fresh tyres for maybe the last 20 laps to the run home, whatever the critical lap is there. It'd probably be about lap 30, lap 31. So Whittaker's, that's Robert Braw, is it, that's managed to make his way past Matt Whittaker now. So that mistake's cost Whittaker a position and the chance that he was fighting so hard for to get in front of Jason Scholar.
Yeah, absolutely. And now he's got to contend with Robert Brower. And he's not an easy person to get by. As you can see, Whittaker's got the pace, but he just can't find that little bit extra to just get around Robert.
Yeah, he's going to be posed with that same problem again. Yeah, Rob, just a really solid driver. That, you know, he's come on over the past 2 seasons as well, JP, and he looks like he's going to threaten to break into that top 5 any race basically. So yeah, like you said, when he's in front of you, he's not an easy driver to get past. Not that he's aggressive or any way, but he can be smooth and consistent. So, you know, props to Rob for his improvement over the last 2 seasons.
All right.
Kai Turner in now.
Yep, he's in his box now. So we'll see what happens here. It must be a fairly long stop. I'm just having a look here.
He's gone the short fuel, so he's just gone out with a 14-second stop. Ryan Cooper stopped for 24 seconds.
Yeah, that's a massive difference there.
That's a huge difference. So Brian's basically gonna have a very, very short last stop. This is going to be really interesting, JP, because that is a significant gap. That's 10 seconds. That's 10 seconds. It's going to look strange now when we see these 2 cars re-emerge. But how that unfolds in the second stop is really interesting.
The one advantage that Kai has, let's not even talk about pace at this stage. He's got clean air. Brian still has some cars. Well, he had some cars in front of him. Have they pitted? Let's have a look. Yeah, Brian's in relatively clean air as well, so they can start making hay now and moving forward. This is really going to be a race that's decided on the pits.
Yeah, it's turning in that way. And that comes back to what I was saying before. This trend where we've got this short field going on in the first stop, we've seen Rehan Leonard deploy it so well over the first 2 rounds, and I think everyone's sort of going, "Oh, okay, I see what you've done there." I wouldn't mind a bit of that myself. But to 10 seconds, I don't think we've seen that big of a gap, that much of a short field. So, look, I'm sure Kai's done his numbers, and that's the minimum that he had to take in that first stop. And like you said, he's given himself what looked like acres of space on track, which is, look, this is a short lap around this street circuit, so that's not easy to find. So that was a really good decision, if his numbers are correct.
Yeah, I guess we'll know at the wash up on the after the last pit stop. But you can see now Brian is starting to come up to slower traffic, and this is that's going to really start to hurt him.
Yep, he needs some cooperation here pretty quickly. On track, whilst we can't see both cars in the same screenshot, Brian is now just shy of 13 seconds behind Kai, so that was obviously a large gain for Kai, but if Brian's going to suffer here with some lap traffic, then margin is going to get almost unassailable.
Yeah, absolutely. A few big winners and losers this evening. Jonathan Bain up 10 places. He's done exceptionally well. Tony Gaffer's come up 6 places into 12th. Tim Mulford's managed to come up 11 places, and now he's sitting in 17th. The biggest loser though, Stefan Lawrence, down 13 places, sitting in 21st. And Scott Stevens has had a bit of bad luck tonight as well, down 11 places, sitting in 24th.
That looked like, I don't know if you've seen that come up on screen then, JP, but I believe Adam Moore may have received a drive-through penalty for car 84. There he goes in the pit lane now. So that was for car contact. I didn't quite catch the number of the car that was with. That's unfortunate for Adam. He's come on again. He's been a really good driver. So he's obviously leading the points championship. He was going into the last round. So look, that's costly. Really unfortunate. Takes car out of our lead battle there at the front.
Yeah, absolutely. And this could be championship defining stuff, although it's still early enough in the race that that Adam can recover a few places.
Look, absolutely. And that's one of the hardest things to do in a race, is be able to keep your train of thought, keep yourself calm, cool and collected in the car, because, you know, obviously Adam will feel the consequences of that. Like, as a driver that's looking to do well in the series and has done well in the series. But, you know, like you said, it's a long race, high probability of safety car. So if he can keep his train of thought thinking about, all right, you know, that is what it is. I've got to put that behind me. If there's a safety car, start thinking along those lines. What am I going to do if there's a safety car? Because that could essentially get him all those positions back if that scenario unfolds and he gets the strategy call right.
Yeah, 100%. And I have to say, it's great seeing these drivers too. You know, it's not great seeing anyone get a penalty, but when they do get a penalty, there's no arguments. They're straight into the pits and they serve their penalty and get on with the racing.
Yeah, and that's, well, we got, I'm not sure who we're on board with, another one of the E1's cars, but I've seen Jason Scola then fall behind those 2 cars as well, and he's nursing more damage. So, look, he's had a little bit of an awkward lap or 2 there, but just trying to pick up who we're on board with here, JP.
We're looking at Tony Gaffer and Robert Brower again.
Okay.
Now, this could be a ploy by Jason as well. He may have decided not to take his fast repair and get that happening on the after the next stop, so he's got a nice clean car to finish the race with.
Yeah, well, he's just got to get through to that critical lap and then get that car repaired as soon as possible. So that could be. It doesn't look right to me on track though, JP. That car, he's fallen right back. I'm hopeful that that's not maybe potentially some more damage that he's picked up after the first pit stop. Yeah,
the car's looking very ordinary there. I think. Look, yeah, I think if he didn't use his fast repair, he probably should be, and I would not be surprised if his steering is all over the place at the minute.
Yeah, it looks unsettled, doesn't it? Especially in the power down sections where you're trying to get the throttle down. The car just looks a little bit squirrely, and he's struggling to get it turned in. So yeah, look, that looks like it might be performance loss in that car. It's a fender air shot.
Yeah, have a look at that. Have a look at the steering.
Yeah. Oh, that's unfortunate again for him. He's going to start to tumble down, but you know, he's still in front of Matty. There's a battle that we were watching earlier on. At least it is on the timing screen.
Great job by Brower there to get around Gaffer. Let's have a look at that on the replay.
So what do we got coming down into turn 1 here? So he's still quite a fair way back at this point. And he's going to go for the move down.
Big move under brakes.
That's a big move. But I tell you what, you don't get that move done without sitting behind him and sussing out where he's weak. So he might have sensed that Tony was early on the brakes into turn 1, and to get any move done on track, you need to be committed, and that was Robert to a T there with that manoeuvre. He sized him up. He knew exactly where he was going to get that done.
Yeah, absolutely. He did really well there.
It's not for the faint-hearted. So you want to be absolutely certain that that driver's not gonna all of a sudden do something differently. So I think he sized him up quite well there for the previous laps. Further up the road, we've got Ed Miller and Stephen Banks, who are joined by John O'Bain as well, now up in the 9th spot. So Jono's just doing what Jono does and picks people off through the race. He's managed to keep his car by the looks of it pretty straight, pretty clean. So look, another good drive from Jono so far, and these two as well are nursing some cars that are in good shape. So the boys are starting to make their way forward. Stephen Banks is up 3, Steady Mills up 3, and then Jono's up 11, as we said before. So guys are pointing and going in the right direction here, as we're now getting pretty much around. We're just past half race distance. So looking forward to seeing what will be the unfolding of the second pit stop, which I think we can look forward to in maybe the next 4 or so laps, JP.
Yeah, absolutely, and you're 100% right with Jono. I mean, he's had a little bit of bad luck the last few rounds, but he's a very accomplished racer. He's very patient. He just sits there, sizes up his opposition, waits for the opportunity, and whenever it shows itself, he's never far behind, and he usually takes advantage.
He's just that type of. It's interesting when you get to see guys in over regular season or consecutive seasons. Some guys be renowned for being excellent qualifiers. Some guys are renowned for being just great racers. And Jono certainly fits in that category where his strength doesn't lie in qualifying, but he will always move forward in a race from his qualifying position if he keeps it, out of trouble. So he's obviously a great racer, and that's his strength. So, but we see guys like and his teammate here on screen, Troy, excellent qualifier. However, he could take a leaf out of Jono's book. I'm sure we would see Troy start to feature on the podium a lot more. So it is interesting how, we're talking about a simulator here, but we see different traits and different drivers.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's interesting when you do watch them race, and you can see those different traits, and you can see how they place their car differently as well, and how they make their lap times.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of guys like to be aggressive on the brakes and look to take advantage of going deeper on the brakes, where you've got other guys that know that if they nail the corner exits, that they're going to be able to defend from in the front. So, yeah, it is really interesting. There's more than one, I guess the phrase is there's more than one way to skin a cat, isn't there? Like,
have a look at this. Big dive by Robbie. He's absolutely supremely confident on the brakes tonight.
Especially into turn 1. That looks like a favourite of his, where he's going to get most of his moves done. He's caught up to the back of Jono, the guy we were just talking about. So, look, it'll be interesting to see if Jono senses that he has a lot of pace. He's got the nous to say, righto, Robbie. Okay, if you've got the pace to go and attack these cars in front, I may let you go, and you might be able to clear the way for me. So
now, this is actually working into Kai Turner's hands. Brian Cooper and John Gillies are starting the race, so they're starting to hold each other up now. Up until about a couple of laps ago, Kai was about 12 seconds, 13 seconds ahead of Brian Cooper. Now that's blown out to over 15 seconds.
Yeah, that's pretty significant. So what that means, the 15-second lead, is Kai's 10 seconds short of pit stop now. By the time that plays out in the next pit stop, he's still going to have a 5-second lead, theoretically. Assuming that they all hit the jacks at the right pace and there's no variance there on pit lane entry. So he's got himself out of the danger zone over those last 3 laps where he could potentially be re-overtaken by Brian in the pit lane. So look, it's proven to be a very, very good call from Kai to short field. And Troy again going straight on. You're going to get it going again? Look, that looks like more damage.
Let's have a look and see what happened here. Looks like he just He just got on the brakes maybe a little too late and complete understeer there. Look at that. Yeah.
So that might have been a tag on the wall, JP. That wall right at the point of braking changes direction, the concrete barrier. So I wonder if there was a little touch of the wall that unsettled him when he went to put the brakes on. We're going to get a replay of that now. Could prove me wrong, but as you see, as the run down to this corner, as we go under the overpass, you'll see the wall change angles, and that can be enough, all that it takes to catch a driver out. And then it looked like, no, he's kept it off. He's gone a bit deep, and you can see the rear of the car is now unsettled. So once that happens, yeah, over those bumps, so hard to pull it up. But there's a bit of runoff down there, so hopefully he hasn't sustained too much more damage.
Yeah, but you're right there too. What you were saying with that wall that comes out, that juts out just as you get into the braking zone, and you've got to be very careful not to be too close to the wall, otherwise you clip it.
Yeah, I think the key is you get over early and you follow the curvature of the wall. But if you're moving from the left-hand side of the track to the right-hand side of the track too late, it catches you out. We've got another car just touching the wall, but he's got going again out of that last turn.
Have a look at this. It's been brewing for a few laps now. John O'Bain, Robert Brower.
Yep, and they haven't let Stead Miller get away either, so this is turning into a good little three-car battle, and Robert looks like he's going to go in here. Well, Jono just turns out, lets him go. He got alongside him quite well there. And yeah, look, he's looking pacey, Robert. There's no doubt about that, JP. It's coming to him during this race, that's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. He's got some pace tonight, and there you go. Jono pulls the trigger and into the pits.
And Stead Miller went in just in front of him. So they also elected the short field, I can see on the timing screens as well. So that's a good point to look at. Robert had a long fill, so he took a lot of fuel on board in his first stop, more so than Jono and Stead. So he's going to be able to go longer. And look, that'll probably be good enough to cement in those positions over those two drivers. Yeah,
absolutely. A bit of bad news from Daniel Leatt. Just had a sim failure while he was in 14th, and that's him over and out for the night.
That's unfortunate.
Here we go. Kai Turner's in.
Kai's in. Righto. So we're seeing the guys that elect to do the short field, they're all having to come in the pits now. So 32 is obviously the critical lap here, JP. 30 will probably be 31. These guys are having to go in.
There we go.
Brian's
in. John elects to go one more lap. Now, this could hurt him because these guys are going to be coming out on fresh tyres.
Unless John elected to go the fresh tyres in the first stop. We just don't know, do we? That's the beauty of the way that the races have been structured this season. We do have some variance on strategy. It's not everyone taking tyres in the last stop. It's not everyone taking full tanks of fuel in the first stop. So that we have seen previously.
Here we go. Kai's on the move. He's gotten around Brian Cooper. Brian Cooper's now moving as well.
So that's interesting that it was, probably just on 10 seconds. Brian stopped quicker than Kai. So just a bit under. So but he'll be back. He's back now. He's net 6 seconds behind Kai on the track. So
you pretty much called it there.
Yeah. Yeah, so that battle that Brian and John got in essentially just cost them the chance at having a good crack for the lead on the exit of pit, the second pit stop. And we just seen Brian go wide into turn one.
I think he had Andrew Johnston was on the inside there, so he had to go wide to avoid turning into Andrew.
Okay, so that was him coming down the pit lane too, was it?
That's right.
That's just, that's the pit exit there, as you can see, which is left-hand side of the blue line on your screen. It goes right down to the bottom of the screen here, and you can't cross that line, otherwise you're going to get a drive-through penalty. And it's a stop and hold penalty as well. So you have to go right to the bottom of that screen before you turn left. So Yep, he did the right thing where I'm sure he would have been tempted to put the pedal down and get in front of Andrew, but he had to allow him to come through on the inside.
Now, John Gillies has elected to go another lap. Now, this could be a fatal mistake. We haven't seen the lap speed with Kai Turner and Brian Cooper with their fresh tyres, but last lap from John Gillies was 1:23.04.
Yeah, so he's down a little bit of pace.
Here we go, safety car. This actually could work in his favour.
Here we go. He's going to get this. He's got the roll of the dice here, straight in.
No, he hasn't gone in.
He's going to stay out.
Oh, no.
Oh, no. I was praying.
That is a fatal mistake. He needed to go in to the pits, get his fuel. He could have come out and still been in the right position, but that is really going to hurt John here.
The safety car hasn't picked him up, though. Did you just say that at the bottom of the screen? The safety car didn't pick him up. So he is going to be able to keep going at race pace. Look, it's still probably going to negatively affect him. If he had gone in on that lap, I tell you what, that would have nearly netted him the lead of the race. But look, he's managed to get by, so he's going to get a second bite of the cherry to go in on this lap. And look, he might come back out right at the pointy end or just behind the leaders. And crucially now, Kai is going to see that 5-second lead evaporate, and we're going to be on for now a good 16 odd laps to the end. So that's we don't know what the incident was that caused the safety car, JP.
I think it may have been. I'm just having a look here. I think it may have been an incident with David Leslie. I'm just going to have a look.
I'm sure we'll get a replay of that if and when we do find it. There we go. Coming on back down into the last turn. Those drivers are managed to get through. Oh, the Dan's tried to get over to get into pit lane by the looks of it there. And that looks like a puff of smoke, so a blown motor.
Yeah, that was probably a really silly move. He would have seen the driver beside him and his relative, and he's just turned in on him.
It looks like he's just towed there as well. So, you know, the rules of the series are that, you know, if you do come unstuck and you can't resume on the track, that you do have to call it into race control for permission to tow. So he was blocking pit lane, so it's hard to say for certain that he towed without permission. But, you know, look, that's certainly the cause of a safety car.
Now have a look at this. This has actually put John Gillies right behind Kai Turner. He's been able to take his stop and get in behind Kai Turner here.
What a turn of events. Who knows how that would have played out if John went in on the first time by, but look, that's put him in a really, really strong position now to have a go at Kai, and we've seen these two battle it out a couple of times so far this series, so look, it's going to be an interesting finish, that's for sure.
Yeah, look, I mean, that was a get-out-of-jail-free card for John Gillies. The safety car didn't pick him up because the relative timing hadn't come up yet, so they didn't realise that John Gillies was the lead car. They let him go through, which enabled him to come in and, well, enabled him to keep going at full speed and serve his pit stop.
Yeah, that's... When you're in the process of cars going in and out of pit lane, your relative timer doesn't necessarily show you the net leader of the race, which may have been a different car at that particular time. So it can be a very confusing situation to work out who you need to pick up. So. Now
at this stage, if I was Brian Cooper at this stage, I wouldn't have been pushing too hard. I would have just been going at a reasonable speed. But let my, conserve my tyres a little bit. Now, John's going to have slightly better tyres than Kai or Brian, But as we saw last night with the safety car, the advantage of being the lead car when the safety car lights go out, when you come around that hairpin, as soon as you straighten up, you can pretty much gun it. The car behind you is still in the process of going through the hairpin, and you automatically get a margin on the car.
Yeah, well, you can the tightness of that corner you can use to your advantage, can't you? Where you can basically, because it is such a slow corner, you can really minimise the pace there as the lead car before really hitting that accelerator and really taking a gap that can't be avoided from the car behind. So it is an advantage. You make a good point though that John is going to be on some fresher rubber, and probably to about maybe the tune of 3 or 4 laps fresher rubber if they both took their tyres in that second stop. And look, if I'm John, you're just going to be applying the pressure to the back of Kai here because look, Kai, whilst super fast driver, under pressure, he's produced varied results. So you might not go to the extent of wanting to say just lob one straight away. You just want to apply constant pressure here, and look, John certainly seems like he's that type of driver where he's willing to play the long game. So look, I quite like the position that John's in right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And what John's going to have to do, he's going to have to anticipate Kai's start. If Kai plays it like I guess like a lot of other drivers would, and as soon as he straightens up coming around this section here, just absolutely plants it, John's got to try and prepare for that and try to get that jump pretty much almost the same time, if not slightly before Kai does. Now Kai can choose to back them up a little bit though, and I guess throw them a dummy of sorts, and go later.
Well, absolutely. I think you've either got to do what you say before, what you said earlier, I should say, and that is basically slow your apex speed right down there on the last corner, so that the car behind you's got no choice to slow down before you then push off again. Or, given that turn one's probably one of the better overtaking opportunities, rather than give the car behind the benefit of the whole straight in the draft, can elect to go late, and that would pretty much eliminate any move into turn one that the car behind can do.
Yeah, absolutely. But this is something that they've got to be very careful of as well, because the rules state that the lead car has to maintain a constant speed. If he slows down too much for that hairpin, it can be deemed as trying to slow the rest of the field up, or back the rest of the field up. And race control can take action against that. So it's a bit of a double-edged sword. You have to slow down to a degree for that chicane, but you can't slow down too much.
That's that would be my inexperience in race starts there, JP. I don't feature in this position too often, so but yeah, look, you're quite right. You can't fall too far behind or deliberately slow the field too much. It has to be done tactfully.
Here we go. They're about to start again. Now, John Gillies has left a little bit of a gap between himself and Kai, which he needs to be closing up now. He's just left too much of a gap between himself and Kai.
Yep, Kai. Yeah, look, that was a really good resumption of the race by Kai. I thought John was just deliberately doing that so he could afford to get on the accelerator a little bit earlier, but he still just missed Kai's initial launch, and that's a very, very good restart from Kai.
Yeah, 100%. Take nothing away from Kai. He had a great restart there, but John, he was just a little bit too far back on Kai's rear bumper there. He needed to, where he needed to actually get the boot in there a little bit earlier, and get right up onto him. And had he done that, he would have been right up there with Kai when Kai took off.
Yeah, he was trying to avoid that situation that we're talking about, where if Kai slowed down on the apex too much, that he would have to check. He kept that bit of a distance, which I thought at the time was a very, very good strategy, because effectively you can then get on the accelerator a little bit earlier you get your momentum up before the lead car goes. But Kai just got his car lined up perfectly for the exit of that corner, and he skated away.
Yeah,
He's now,
absolutely.
he's now over a second, so he's broken the draft effectively for John Gillies now down this straightaway here that we're going to see now.
Yep, and you can see the wider angle that Kai's taking going into that hairpin gives him a much better exit than John does as well. A little bit of inside information by Daniel Layat. He had some great racing tonight. He's saying his tyres were knackered towards the end of the double, which is like what we want to hear. Big challenge. So fresh tyres for all would be great to get them home. Daniel, if you're still there, mate, feel free to jump into the commentary booth. Love to hear from you.
Yeah, I got a good chance to talk to Dan after what would have been round 2, I think, when he had the reverse grid podium, and obviously Dan's done a bit of commentary work and stuff over on it for another racing series. So yeah, it would be great to hear from him at some point. So obviously he's quite clued into the iRacing scene, and especially with the V8 supercars.
And speak of the devil appears. Dan, how are you, mate?
Yeah, g'day JP and Dean. Good to be here. A bit disappointing to be here in this capacity. Would rather be out on the circuit, but mate, how good's the racing been?
It's been absolutely awesome. Yeah, a bit of bad luck for you tonight, but yeah, look, you just don't know when those internet gremlins are going to show up and ruin your race.
Well, look, unfortunately, it wasn't the internet tonight. It was graphics issues. So I think tomorrow's a full system restore, and we'll get ready again for next week. But yeah, mate, it was turning out to be what could have been a great race.
Yeah, fantastic. Tell us a little bit about those tyres. How are they feeling towards the tail end of the stint, mate?
Yeah, look, they're getting pretty worn on as we went through the end of the race. They still felt relatively good. A few of the other guys like Tony and Thomas were sort of struggling a little bit with the rear drive towards the back end of their stint there. And yeah, I think it was kind of to be expected. It's a relatively hot track out there, 31 degrees at the moment. And yeah, for the guys that have put 30 plus laps on the tyres, they're getting pretty worn out towards the end of the race. So this is about the time where, as we've seen the safety car now, everyone's jumped in, fresh set of boots on board, and the racing's going to be unreal to watch getting home.
Yeah, absolutely. And that was, look, that's always been the plan for you guys, is to really give you a challenge, give you only a handful of tyres to race with, and see what you guys can do with it. And I've got to say that so far everybody hasn't, everyone hasn't disappointed.
Yeah, absolutely. I think everyone's sort of got their own strengths and weaknesses in the way the cars are being set up, and we saw that earlier on in the season. Watching back at the replay of Suzuka, where Dean and the guys are having a great talk about that. But I think it became really evident tonight just with how the cars are being set up. And I know we spent a lot of time during the week trying to work out what works with these things. And around this circuit, I don't know whether it's just the circuit and the track combination, it's very tricky to try and get the balance of these cars. And after about 8 laps, it's really sketchy trying to get it down, especially into turn 1 there. And I had a big moment, I think it might have been on Peter Kelly, where I was able just to slide it in there for the failures. But yeah, it presented some unique issues out there for everyone, and plenty of adjustments that the guys have to think through on the fly, not only with bars and brake bias, but managing the throttle applications and brakes as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And while you were talking there, a little bit of breaking news from Race Control. Car 666, excuse me, David Leslie has been disqualified from the race, towing without permission. For those of you who are new to the broadcast, if a car does crash and cannot be removed from the field, they must ask for permission to tow. That way, Race Control will launch the safety car. And tonight, unfortunately, David towed without asking for permission, and that is an instant disqualification.
Yeah, I think I may be in line for one of those as well, given I couldn't get in touch with Race Control as well. But a little unfortunate for Dave. He was having a really strong run tonight.
Yeah, I think that was we saw a replay of that pit entry, and I got my drivers confused. They said it was Dan Schultz, but it was definitely David Leslie, like you initially said, JP. And look, one of those moments, I think it's so easy to start to panic behind the wheel, and he was obviously in the middle of the pit lane, so he's probably just trying to get it, avoid a further incident happening there at the entry of the pit when we know everyone was trying to pit at that moment. So look, he's probably just taken one for the team there and exited to get his car out of the way. But yeah, that's not in line with how our series operates. So he's unfortunately going to get disqualified for tonight.
Yeah, disappointing, but yeah, race on. And just so everybody knows, 75% of the race is what the cars have to do to be qualified. That's 38 laps, and so far, I think well, we'll find out at the wash-up who hasn't made the cut-off, but some brilliant racing so far.
The guys have done a great job. You know, that incident caused a safety car, but other than that, there really hasn't been too much to speak of on a track where you probably can expect to see the track partially blocked, if not blocked, on several occasions during the race. So the guys have had a really, really high standard so far this season, and we said at pre-race that we'd expect that they'd keep it that way, and they certainly done. They certainly have done that. So look, John's is just out inside 2 seconds in second place there from Clyde Turner. So we're still waiting to see whether he can apply the pressure back for the race win, but he's now got Brian Cooper again for company. So just wait and see how this one unfolds.
Yeah, still a bit of racing to go. And as a segue to that, Dan, you being, I guess, the newest driver in the series, so you've joined up for this season. How have you found the racing on track?
Yeah, look, I've really enjoyed it. I think other than sort of my own little bit of being prepared for round one at Barcelona there, it's been fantastic. And I mean, Supercar is not a car that I'm uniquely familiar with. I'm more of a GT guy myself, but I've really enjoyed it. It's been a good challenge to try and wrap my head around how these things work. And I think just looking at the racing that we've seen in the first 3 rounds or 4 rounds tonight, it's been second to none. I don't know whether a lot of the guys are watching what the main game are doing on Tuesday nights, but certainly it helps us out a lot to sort of see how the cars work, where they're strong and weak, and sort of adapt to it. But no, I'm certainly loving it.
Yeah, great to hear. And I guess at this stage, still early days, but your thoughts about the upcoming Bathurst 1000 that we're going to have to close out the series?
Bathurst, well, what do you say? It's a uniquely Australian circuit, very challenging, and it's going to be a great way to finish an awesome season. It's going to be nice to see the main game and Split 2 sort of come together and drive, and cannot wait to see how the guys sort of look at the driver pairings. I know there's been a few comments put up in the Facebook page around sorting out drivers and liveries for that, and liveries this time are going to be very awesome as well, retro round as well. And 161 laps, 8 hours or so in the seat. It's a long day, but really looking forward to it.
Yeah, we're looking forward to it as well, and hoping to bring out a few special liveries for the race, and do something a little bit special for the broadcast as well.
Really looking forward to that. We've got a few in the works, a few retros we might, or we're looking between at the moment, but yeah, cannot wait to see the calibre of all the cars that everyone comes up with.
Yeah, we know that you guys always deliver some really awesome looking cars. When well, look, your normal liveries look great. Your retro liveries never disappoint either.
Yeah, thanks, mate. Kind of been a bit fortunate. We can tail off what Penrite had done in past seasons, and I think we're going to try something a little bit different this time out. I kind of got familiar with running the Chickadee and a few other series, but we might come out with something a little bit different for the next one.
Looking forward to it, mate. Meanwhile, you know, you wouldn't know that this is our Tier 2 series. These guys are racing like it's the first 5 laps of the race. They are going for it.
Yeah.
Sorry,
No, they're doing a really good job, and actually the jump since getting back underway from the safety car, which we saw last night, potentially safety cars breed safety cars. No one's really got into each other. They're holding really good station here and being decisive about where they pick the moves at the moment. Yeah,
100%. One thing we have seen, this track does lend itself to being able to spread the field on the safety car restart, purely because you really can't get going until you actually negotiate that last hairpin, and then you can actually go for it. So you're seeing naturally cars sort of get spread out a little bit, and that kind of does help going into turn one.
Yeah, definitely, and I think probably Dean could attest to that too from last night. It does make it a little bit easier to sort of pick your braking markers. Not everyone is diving down together, similar to what we saw at Hungary and Suzuka there, but it gives you a nice little bit of breathing room just to pick the moment. You kind of don't have to worry too much about the guy behind. You can just focus on getting through that first lap, finding your rhythm and resetting again.
Yeah, absolutely. 5 laps to go, and it looks like Kai really has control of this race. Last week, it was an unfortunate mistake that saw him come into pits and serve a drive-through penalty. Oh, here we go. We've got a drive-through penalty here for the 006 with car contact on 777 on lap 43. So somebody diving in the pits. Sorry, mate?
It's unfortunately that's Robert Raw.
Yeah, he's
currently 6th place.
Yeah, he's had a brilliant race up until now. That's that's really disappointing for him. But yeah, Kai's going to be able to finish this one off, and there'll be no doubt at all about this race. He hasn't really put a foot wrong so far tonight.
And once he was able to make his way up to the front, you know, we've seen him start from 4th position and just be content in there for the opening exchanges, but since he's made his way to the front of the race, he's really looked like he's had a superior pace advantage over everyone else. So it's been a really measured race from Kai, which has just been a perfect response to how things unfolded for him last week. As he's coming up on some lap traffic here, and he's going to get the cooperation he needs to get by. And look, he's already pulled a margin of 2 seconds here, and look, he'll manage that as best as he can. But look, a real impressive drive, I think, from Kai tonight. So. Really mistake-free, which is, you know, really important for him.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is one of these tracks where you do have to exercise a little bit of patience. I know it goes against the grain, you know, as a race car driver, that you've got to be patient, but you really need to do that and pick your marks and pick your opportunities. And Kai's done that really well tonight.
Yeah, and you know, we spoke earlier about that, you know, Kai's not afraid to make the move or really seek to overtake cars quickly, but I think the nature of the track and the fact that he had his teammate in front of him early doors, he was forced to stay conservative, and now we're seeing him now really drive away with the race. So it delayed what might have been his natural instincts to go aggressive, so it's played out well, and like I was saying, yeah, we've seen him do well in the past, but when he gets in the front of a race, he just turns into a different driver, and his ability to lead from the front is a really good ability that he has, as opposed to when he's trying to make positions up.
Okay, sorry, that was another warning there for car 006 with car contact on 777, so not sure what's going on there.
I don't know whether that's a warning to serve his penalty. Is he still out on track, or is he still... No, he's actually served his penalty, so I thought that might have been a warning, just basically to say, hey, this is the last chance you have to get in and serve your drive-through. But it looks like he has completed that, and is now down into 18th position. Yeah, not too sure what that one's about, JP, but you know, crossed the line here with 3 laps to go, so this one's fastly coming to an end. It's not a really long lap here, so these will tick by real quick.
Yeah, look, that could have just been a mistake by race control. They've hit the button by mistake and brought that warning back up again, but we'll try and get clarification on that.
I was watching him in particular after the safety car restart. He lost the back of Troy Allen quite quickly. I was starting to think whether Robert maybe took tyres in his first stop, because he had significant pace over the field in that middle stint when we were focused in on that car and that exchange that he was having, but he seemed to not quite have the pace there after the safety car. So that safety car has not really played into his hands well at all.
No, it's not worked for him, and he had a bad run there, so he's going to have to wait another lap before trying to put a move on Dan Schultz. still very confident under brakes. So look at the amount of track that he makes up on Schultz there under brakes.
Yeah. That's a tough corner. He's obviously got that car done up well on the front end to get the stopping power there. He's easily been the strongest into turn one that we've seen from the field tonight. Just looking for some action on track, JP, where it's a pretty substantial margin still from first to second, and then we've got about the same gap back to third. So the boys at the front look very settled in formation at the moment, as we now got the white flag for Kai to see this one out, and he hasn't got any lap traffic, I should say, in front of him. So look, he's done a perfect job managing this race so far, and he's just got one more lap to get it done.
He's driving the car really, really nicely on exit, just bringing it home well. Just keeping an eye a little further down the field as well. There's a good little scrap between Stephen Banks and Jonathan Ben just for 6th position. These guys are still fighting it out on that last lap. See who can gain the spot. Looks like Tony Gaffer's just dropped off the back of that little train as well, as they work their way down towards the back straight for the last time. But car's looking very good. John's done well to keep the car straight and tidy. Just thinks about sticking the nose in just at the end there.
Yeah, he'll have a couple more opportunities to try and get up one more spot, but he's been a big mover tonight. He's gone up 12 positions, but look, the race belongs to Kai Turner as he now comes across the line to take victory in Long Beach. So for round 4, and what a fantastic drive by him tonight. Look, a bit of a standout drive, and John will come home in second place. John Gillies for another fantastic podium position. So great racing by the top 3. Great racing by the whole field tonight. Really a really clean race. We come to expect it from these guys, as we've mentioned it prior in the broadcast. Their ability to keep it clean in tough circumstances has been very admirable this season. So what a great race for Kai.
And it'll be a great haul of points too, which is only going to help as he works his way through to the championship conclusion as well, which is consistency is the big key in this championship, and doing everything he needs to do for himself and the team.
Yeah, well, I think he did lead the points into the Hungaro ring, and obviously that things didn't go well there for him, but he's answered in basically the perfect possible way tonight by coming out and moving his car up from 4th position on the grid and taking what was really a commanding win. He had a good margin there after the pit stops. Looked like he was just going to drive off into the sunset. Safety car bunched them back up, but pace was just too strong, and the guys couldn't do anything after the safety car to put him under any pressure. So look, he'll enjoy a little bit of a victory burnout here and really enjoy the spoils of a win that he probably felt should have been his last week.
Yeah, definitely. I think just a little unfortunate in the way that race at Hungaro pulled out for him, but looking forward to see what he's going to do in the burnout department. There's already been some fantastic burnouts so far this season. Let's see what he's able to do.
What a great burnout from Kai Turner. He's enjoyed that win, and Dan's going to stick with us here for a little bit of time after the race is concluded. Dan, mate, look, it's been great to have you drop in and help us out up here in commentary while JP's also trying to run his production. He's got plenty of fuel on board. He's going to keep going with his burnout, so he's had that rehearsed, mate. But look, your thoughts on tonight's race after coming in midway through. It's not panned out the way that you wanted it to, but look, a driver that's in amongst this field, we talk about it up here about how the guys are really displaying a really high level of racecraft this season, but your sort of reaction to that last half of the race since you've been out of the car.
Yeah, look, I've really enjoyed it. It's obviously 2 weeks in a row now. I've kind of got to pick up the back end of the race due to some unfortunate issues, but it was a really good run for the guys there to bring it home. As you say, Kai didn't put a foot wrong. Drove the car beautifully, kept it nice and straight, looked after the tyres, and managed to build a nice gap and bring it home. And what we've seen further down the field tonight as well, the racing was just as fierce down there as well. So for all the drivers that turned up tonight, we know Long Beach, very tricky circuit. We saw that last night, and we've seen that again here tonight. But everyone was really measured in the way they drove tonight, picked the opportunities to get the passes. The back markers were very, very generous in keeping an eye on the fast-moving cars coming around, and everyone played their part to put on a fantastic show.
Look, absolutely. I think that was the perfect way to sum it up there. Look, we're going to go straight into race results now, as JP's just had to duck out to do some points table calculations. So, look, obviously, we've seen on screen there, Kai Turner took this one out from John Gillies in second place, with Brian Cooper coming home after leading a large portion of the race, coming home in third. Troy Allen for Alan Dawson fifth, Matt Whitaker sixth, Stephen Banks seventh, John O'Bain made his way up to eighth, Tony Gaffer ninth, and Adam Moore rounded out the top 10 for tonight's runners. Over the page, you got Jason Sculler managed to come home in 11th, Stephen Martin 12th, Will Yesberg 13th, Timmy Mulford home in 14th after the pit lane start, Peter Kelly in 15th, Stuart Crawford 16th, Robert Brewer in 17th, Daniel Schultz 18th, Scotty Stevens down to Rod Hollis in 20th position. First of the lap down cars was Stefan Lawrence in 21st from Braden O'Loughlin, 22nd, Thomas Foster 23rd, Andrew Johnson in 24th, Corey Brand was a few more laps down in 25th from Jeff Eddy, Ted Miller in 27th, and then a couple of DNFs, David Leslie and Daniel, who's up here with us right now. So, all right, JP's going to duck off, but basically we've got our cars in from the top three tonight. Look, they're joining us. Maddie, unfortunately, quick shout out to Maddie Davis, who I'm quite sure regular listeners will have tuned in and not realised he's not with us tonight. He's been called in for the night shift. So, look, Daniel and I got the job of asking some questions away to our podium finishers tonight. And look, we'll kick it off with Brian Cooper. Mate, basically we've seen you up the front leading the race for the first part. And then things just sort of not unraveled, but just didn't quite go your way with the whole pit stop sequence, mate. How did you see that race? How did it unfold for you? Look, third position's nothing to sneeze at, but look, was that the case of one maybe that might have got away?
Oh, definitely. I think I was pretty stoked to pick Troy for pole in the qualifying, and then had a good race with Kai behind me. He was a bit quicker than me, and ended up getting past me. And I was keeping John at bay behind me, and I think that as you said, I think we got a bit let down by the safety car. We did a couple of laps around the safety car, where perhaps John should have got picked up as the leader, and but that's racing, and you live to fight another day. So we just held the back of John for the remainder of the race. The tyres were fairly gone by that stage, but happy with the third position.
Yeah, was it a case, mate, that you took you hold your fresh set of tyres to the second stop? Or would you take them in first?
I got the tyres in the second stop, so I saw that Kai seemed to have took a little bit less fuel because he gapped us on the first pit stop, so it's filling it right up. So I knew in the second pit stop that I'd bring that gap back, although it was still a 5 or 6 second gap that Kai built out on top of his short fuel. I was hoping to, and then a couple of seconds ahead of John going into the pit stop. So I was hoping to put the undercut on him and extend that, and then knowing that he was going to have fresher tyres towards the end of the race. And the second or third lap after that, we got the safety car, and it all sort of went from there, and ended up back into third. So do too much from there. John Kai's pace they were faultless tonight as well, and it was just waiting for them to make a mistake, which wasn't like a likely scenario.
Yeah, we've seen that how difficult it can be to overtake around this track, and yeah, just a couple of things didn't go your way, but effectively, mate, you consolidate your win from last week with a third position this week and an excellent pole position as well. So, mate, look, it's really good to see you starting to come on in this series and definitely sort of announce yourself as one to watch.
Yeah, thanks. As I said, last week we had went a lap down with sim failure on the first round, which hasn't helped things, and a first and a third, I think. So bit of a pretty good recovery. So forward to next round and hopefully keep her on the podium.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. We'll stick around and we'll come back to you again a bit later on, but we'll move on to John Gillies, mate. Look, back on the podium again this week. The safety car, we're not quite sure what happened what happened under the safety car, but look, we were sort of acknowledging in commentary that you stayed out one extra lap. What was sort of going through your mind when the safety car first got called? We would have been approximately around about the last corner, and you stayed out. So talk us through a little bit about that decision.
Yeah, firstly, congrats to Kai and Brian, another great race. But yeah, I sort of thought to stay out, and then the safety car got called, so I was a bit too late to fit in. But Brian makes a good call. I'm going to ask race control after this. I was lapping and saw the safety car actually in the pit lane, and if I don't recall anyone saying to follow it, and I had to stop just on the inference. I would have been on the racing line, and it probably caused some havoc for people behind us. But then pitted and come out where I was. I just accepted that whatever happens after the race will happen after the race. But I thought, full credit to Kai and Brian with their speed.
Yeah, we heard, I think it may have been from race control, but JP was saying there's just a little bit of confusion about who the leader was on track, but the safety car was definitely sort of at the end of the pit lane there. So I don't think it was on track. So look, we'll wait and see what happens there. But look, look, we'll see how that goes. But look, another round, mate, where you've gone quite strong. Like, you must be feeling pretty happy with how your season's been going to date.
Yeah, I am, Dean. This track was new to me, and spent a bit of time practicing with the team. Guys there helped me out, so it's just a matter of keeping it off the walls and surviving.
Mate, absolutely. Something I couldn't manage to do last night, let me tell you that. So I've got a lot of respect for you guys that managed to go 51 laps and still come back with a relatively, if not perfectly straight car. So look, same to you, mate. Just stick around and we'll come back for some sponsor shout-outs.
Yeah,
but look,
cheers.
Cheers, mate. We'll go on with our race winner, Kai. And, mate, look, started out of fourth tonight. So you and your teammate had to run together there for a large part of the opening stint. And then, look, pace, it's like it come to you and you really drove a faultless race in general, but really the second half of the race is where it really took off for you, mate. Look, pretty stoked to come back after last week and pick up the race win, no doubt.
Yeah, definitely, and congrats to the podium. I didn't really expect to start from fourth, but I tried to be positive and keep it patient. I didn't want to rush into it, but yeah, as you said, that second stint was quite interesting. I didn't know whether, as you guys said, John waited that extra lap to pit, so I was rushing around and I only just got past him on the first corner, so that was lucky.
Look, it would have been interesting to see how that how that panned out if John had gone on that first lap. It would have been very close. If not, maybe he could have potentially come out with the lead of the race. We'll never know, but that was certainly an exciting moment in the race. And look, the short stop for the first stint, mate. Talk us through that. That was obviously your strategy coming into the race. We've seen it deployed by a few drivers this season. Is that something that you feel like is going to be a regular strategy for you for these races going forward?
Really depends on where you are in the race and race conditions and whatnot. I just thought my car was stronger with less fuel, so with that, I didn't take the tires in that first stop. So I wanted to be as light as I could and easy on the tires. So I didn't put as much fuel in. I thought I'd sacrifice that longer stop in the last stop. So yeah, it all panned out in the end.
Well, that's pretty interesting to hear because we normally see people do that short stop purely just to try and gain track position, and you certainly emerged in what looked like plenty of space, but obviously it's got a benefit for the tires there as well when you've got your car set up for light fuel.
Yeah, 100%, mate. And it was a tricky race, like you said, keeping it off the wall, 51 laps. But I'm sweating now. But look forward to next week.
I can imagine, mate. I can imagine. Look, mate, look, fantastic result for you. Like, stick around. We'll come back again. But look, JP, are we in position where we can have a look at the championship points?
We are absolutely in a position where we can have a look at the championship points, and let's put them up now. Let's put everyone out of their misery and see how the drivers are tracking.
All right. Well, we've got John Gillies now coming up into the lead of the championship. Mate, it's 8 points over Kai, and Adam Moore, who we seen get a drive-through penalty tonight. He slipped down to third, but not to discredit him. He's been very, very strong this season. Tony Gaffer in fourth, Stephen Banks fifth, Brian Cooper is up into sixth after he's mentioned before about having that first round DNF. Alan Dawson seventh, Jason Schooler eighth, Matt Whitaker ninth, and Stephen Martin, who is 70 points behind, in 10th. We roll out the rest of the championship standings there over the screen. So look, I didn't see the championship points after last week, John. Is that you now moving up into the lead this week, or did you have the lead from last week?
Equal, yeah.
Okay, so you got inherited the sole lead of the championship at the end of round 4, I believe. So it's still tight even after I didn't get the finishing position he got last week. He's still right there and in the mix. So look, the championship's heating up. It's going to tick over past 30 cars now. We just wait for that to finish out. It looks like it's all on for young and old here at the championship table. At pretty much a third of the way through the season, only 11 rounds this season. So look, it'll be a tight one right to the finish. But we've certainly got something building up here. But look, having wrapped up the championship table, let's go back to the drivers now, and we'll go back to Brian, mate. Look, maybe some time for some sponsor shout outs or any last words, mate.
Yeah, just like to thank my tanked sim racing team, BA Crocs and Dirt Division. Thanks, guys.
Short and sweet, mate. That's how we like it. We'll wrap this post-race show up pretty quickly tonight. We're now past 10 o'clock. So, look, it's been a long week this week, RSRA with the endurance round. But, we'll throw it over to John now, mate. Look, sponsor thanks and any shout-outs you'd like to make.
Yeah, sure. Shout out, of course, to Braden and the team, Rogley, for all their help, and particularly with Rod and Braden tonight with their assistance. But to Juiced Energy, Pet Door Company, Vision Sim Training, and Sideways Photography. Thank them too.
Yeah, cheers, mate. And then Kai, mate, we'll save the last ones for you. Your sponsor shout-outs.
Yeah, mate. First of all the admins and the sponsors that make this series possible through JP, and my side are MFR Racing, Mad at Designs, Wayne, WP Concreting, and FU Suicide. Thanks, guys. Cheers,
mate. Well said. Look, before we sign out, we might throw it back to our guest in the commentary booth now, Daniel, mate. Any final words for yourself tonight, and maybe any questions you might want to throw the way of the drivers?
Look, first off, just a hats off to the podium out there. They drove a faultless race, as you guys said, worked the conditions beautifully, and got the cars home at the end. Probably the only question I've got two questions. First one, what were your thoughts on the qualifying? A little bit different tonight. We had 2 qualifying groups go out there, 15 minutes each. A little bit shorter qualifying time and less competitors out on track. How did you guys find managing the track conditions to get in the lap that we saw? Because looking between both splits, it was very competitive times that were set.
Yeah, for me, I quite like that setup for especially the tighter tracks like this. It's difficult with 40 cars out on track to get a clean lap in, particularly with the speed differentiation that we have across the field. So yeah, the smaller fields and smaller times. It's neither here nor there, but obviously my second last lap I pipped in the time for pole, so that was I was pretty happy with that.
Absolutely. It was a great lap for yourself there, mate. A 19.07. Just to recap on that one, very, very quick time, and congratulations to yourself on that one. Probably the last one for Kai and John there. Next week, Circuit of the Americas, first of the endurance rounds for Super 2, 60 laps out there. Guys, very different circuit to Long Beach here tonight. Very smooth, flat, some very technical sections, especially on the run up the hill into turn 1 and then down through the S's before you make your way down the back side of the circuit. What's the mindset you guys now got to take into that one? Obviously set up very, very different here tonight, and what do you guys look for to try and get extract the maximum out of the cars?
I think just track and seat time, mate. You just got to get in here and run some laps. Myself, I'm not too familiar with this track, but the MFR boys like to get out there and put some laps down and try and improve every week. So it's going to be ones that are patient from here on out that are going to do well in the championship, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm thinking for that little bit of inside info just to help me get up towards you guys as well. But no, look, congratulations to all three of you. It was a fantastic drive again tonight.
Thanks, mate.
Cheers, mate.
Thanks, mate.
Look, yeah, good on you guys. Well done, Dan. Yeah, I could sense you were trying to sneak a little bit of insight there, but that's all right. Kai played the perfect straight bat on you there, I think. So, absolutely fantastic race, mate. Look, JP, mate, at this point in time, is there anything you want to come in and acknowledge here before we finish up?
Firstly, just want to reiterate congratulations to tonight's podium. Fantastic racing, guys. Really well done. I guess not really. I mean, it's been a great night of racing. We've seen some really awesome moves by some of the guys. Look, we've also seen some things that have been a little bit questionable, but look, that's also racing. I guess most importantly now, we need to talk about what we're going to see in the next week as far as racing's concerned. So let's actually go to the track map, to our notes, and see what we've got coming up.
Absolutely. Well, we're going to Circuit of the Americas next week, which is a new track for us in this series. Not one that we've run before, so look, it's a shortened version of the GP track, so it's going to present its own challenges and hopefully some great close racing. But over the period of the next week, you can expect to tune in and to SimShed Broadcasting, and you'll find Weekend Warriors on this Saturday night for some Cup car racing, followed by the RSRA Super Series next Tuesday. And then join us back here next Wednesday night for Wednesday Night Motorsport for the RSRA Super 2 E Series on the SimShed Broadcasting Network. So it's been a great night's racing, as the boys have summed up from Long Beach. What an interesting track, a challenging track, and look, a fantastic job to all tonight. So look, at this point, JP, I think we might be just about all done.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's it from you. That's it from me. That's it from everyone tonight. Thank you for everyone that's joined us and watched the broadcast. It was great bringing it to you. We'll see you for the next one, which is going to be Saturday night for the Weekend Warriors. After that, I'm JP, joined tonight with Dean Reddit, and we'll sign off and say good night. Good night from us.
Cheers all. Good night.